academics. And I was very happy with that because there was people around me who would look after the administration. So I'm hoping that administration here will happen the same way, that I'll focus on academics and all my colleagues and all my office staff will help me do the administration. So I don't have to spend time doing administration. That's my dream, but I don't know how it will come true. Then I was also the head of I was in charge of my center for about 5 years. So there's a lot of administrative work. And that was actually clerk's work, because we didn't have support staff to do the work. So instead of, I was also teaching at that time. Then I was dean also for 3 years, which was again, that was really challenging. We had the seniors to me were not really taking decisions. So we were at quite a bit of standstill at that point of time. So certainly I was in newspapers, all violence, all kinds of things happened, very challenging. So I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to do that again. But when this opening came, I kind of just felt that with the Chief Justice, who is very academically oriented, it may be a good idea to try my hand at decision again. Because I think over the years, I have learned a lot about teaching, not only the subject matter of teaching, but about teaching. And I've been doing these workshops with a number of universities, with teachers as to how to teach. Now, has found very positive feedback. So I do believe that as a head of the institution here, with me being at the top, those administrative hurdles which I was feeling as a dean would not be there. Of course, the buck stops at me, so I'll be responsible for a lot of things. But I still think that the information I have about this institution, that there's not too much internal politics. People are very, comparatively simple and straightforward. And I am very straightforward. So for me, I think it was the reputation of the university and the fact that we have a Chief Justice at this point of time who is very academically oriented and know him from earlier times. So I felt that this is the right time to apply. And fortunately, I did get selected as well. That's how I'm here. I'm hoping it will be much more academically satisfying experience. And I'm not wanting to do a lot of administration. I'm wanting, the registrar and other people will take over the administration. I will have to just say yes, yes, yes.
Ma'am, we would love to have you in class as much as your time permits. And we are really happy about this also. Ma'am, just one question. And I normally don't delve into politics. But one thing in student administration of colleges, which I find is it's very intrigued with who the ruling parties and the politics, that goes on. So as an administrator, how do you maintain that balance? Because it's a very difficult balance to maintain, because you will have to keep the political party, at happy and also make sure the students do not suffer. So how is that balance maintained, ma'am?
I do not know comment on that one, because I've been told that there is no interference in the university here in this state. The Chief Minister doesn't interfere, the other people don't interfere. I am apolitical. I do not have any party affiliation. And in my whole appointment process, there was no political parties involved. So I don't think I have that challenge here. So I'm come with that assumption that no, I will not have to deal with that. I did ask that question that what happens about the pressures. So they said no, admission are no pressure because it's flat. So that's taken care of. And certainly Chief Justice I know is not going to interfere. And I'm told that the Chief Minister doesn't interfere. They don't interfere. I don't think that's a big challenge here. And I don't want to give you a warning on that one. I function without fear and favor. So that's something I think you might have already heard about me. I cannot be cowed down by unreasonable demand, but I'm very open to listening to whoever has got something to say. And we're working on a Google form where we want to hear from every student as to what will think. That's certain questions we want to know from. When I was appointed, the first thing journalists started asking me, "What's your plan?" I said, "I've got no plan because I do not know the people. I do not know the university. I'll go there, find out what's happening, and then we'll make a plan." I want every student's and every colleague's participation in making that plan for ourselves. For the next 5 years, what is it that we want to achieve? That's something we're still working on, but it cannot be created at all without having spoken to all of you. So that's my kind of saying that I'm hoping that and because I'm very clear on deadlines. So you saw me, I was here at 5 o'clock. And I think that's something, that's a habit which all aspiring law students, not aspiring law students, lawyers, judges, legal officers, everybody has to really cultivate. In the litigating area, if you're 10 minutes late at the time of special mention, your client may lose a house that day. So therefore, being on time, being punctual, keeping to the deadlines is absolutely essential. We're all aware of delays in court system because sometimes the lawyer says, I'm not prepared, sometimes the judge says he's on leave, something, the other side lawyer wants an adjournment. We grieve about it, but what is it that we are planning to do about it when we do come to the litigation? So I certainly think that's something which I'm going to insist on. Be on time. If there's a deadline, follow that. It's not going to be that you'll come to the Vice Chancellor and she will grant you extensions. There has to be a very good reason for you to, with evidence and proper fact, I should be able to believe you. If you have a sudden disaster, unplanned, then I can think of an extension, but no more extensions. So everybody has to get down on this, pull up your shoes. Deadline.
Students take note.
Yes, I'm
no extension from VC, ma'am.
No
Ma'am,
extension. If you can manage from people other than me, it's your privilege. But I am not going to grant any extensions.
ma'am, on that question of courts, I think I was personally really happy because National Universities, I don't know whether you're aware of it, ma'am, is normally known for its corporate structure. Like most of the students go to the corporate sector. So we don't receive a lot of assistance in people who want to pursue a career in litigation, especially as first generation lawyer. I mean, I'll take the example that I'm a first generation lawyer or would be a lawyer, and I want to practice in Delhi, and I do not have a lot of connections. So, ma'am, how would you, and I know for a fact that Delhi University and Delhi Faculty of Law, they really assist their students in litigation. And that's one thing which we have been jealous of, I think all national universities. So, ma'am, what is your advice to those first generation lawyers, those who don't have parental support or family support for litigation, especially?
For anyone to succeed in life, it's hard work and ability to commit yourself that this is what you're going to do. But initial years, certainly litigation is not going to be easy. But the satisfaction you get from the client, I'm quite sure some of you have done legal aid work. And when you get a relief to a person, see that person's face and satisfaction at your work, that satisfaction is invaluable. And that you get only in litigation. How many lawyers' names appear? How many corporate lawyers' names appear in the newspapers? Who are the names you are aware of as lawyers? And I certainly think, this is my understanding of national law schools, that they were actually established not to create corporate lawyers. They've gone in that direction, but they were not created. Look at your own act as well. It is not meant for corporate lawyering. But we are all into the same, we're going into that line where we are catering to the corporate world. We were established, the national law schools were established to look after, to provide quality lawyers for local population. So completely forgotten about that. But I think when you do legal aid work, some of you do come to the litigation side, and the advice as a starting point. Certainly you can start with not a very big name. Start with anybody who's for 10 years experience. They are the ones who still remember how difficult it is in the beginning. Because the senior lawyers are forgotten. And also senior lawyers were not paid so many years ago, which was a different kind of a setup. People could survive without being paid. Today they cannot pay. So certainly when we nowadays talk about it, there are people sometimes, because people know that our students quite a many of them do want to go for litigation. So they send us requests also that, send your bright student. So certainly it's not every student will get, you have to be bright. And therefore everybody has to be bright if you want a placement. Whether in a litigating firm, whether in a corporate firm, whether in an NGO, everybody wants a student who is punctual, who is sincere, who is hardworking. and of course has very friendly ability to work in a team. So these are the qualities we have to imbibe as our lifestyle. Only then I think you succeed. And certainly, the only advice I'm saying is to start with the lowest level. Don't start with the High Court and Supreme Court, because actual cases are made at the first level. You can do some work at the High Court. You try to find a lawyer who is working at all the 3 levels, or at least in 2 levels, but certainly working at district court. Do not go to lawyers. As a starting point, do not do your work only with somebody who is doing only High Court work. Because in High Court, you are stuck with the material you have. You start with the where the cases are made. What is your strategy? You are filing a petition. Your case is made at that stage. That point of time, what evidence will you give, which evidence you will not give, how you have to counter the other side. All those strategizing happen at the first level. And if you do not know how things happen at the first level, it's not easy to find what is happening at the second level. Now, I'm reminded of an incident. And Justice Muralidhar, Chief Justice, he was then a practicing lawyer. And he was arguing a matter of a death penalty review we had filed. We were claiming that it was a child on the date of the offense, and the session judge has held him to be an adult. So at some point, the argument was, and the document also said, there was a document where the boy himself has said, I was 20 years of age when I went for my employment with these people. And in the court records also, when there's a particular format, which, it's one kind of, I think 133 statements are there of the accused person. So there also his age was given as 20 years. So the judge, they said he himself has said 20 years. He said this to the employer. Now he said in the court also is 130. It's the same 20. So Justice Muralidhar, at that point of time, he said, sir, these entries are made in a routine manner by the office clerk. It is not that they ask the person and they fill it up. He knew it because he had seen the work at the first level also. Otherwise, you would think, the first guy himself is saying to the court that I'm 20 years old, then how do you make any other statement? So I think these are little small things, that what kind of manipulations can happen in the FIR, what kind of things are happening for the delivery of something. All these nitty-gritties at the procedural level at the first court. If you get exposed to that for at least a year or so, then you can say that, no, I want to work at the higher level. But I suggest that you should start at the first level.
In fact, ma'am, we all look up to Justice Muralidhar. In fact, when I started first going to the Delhi High Court, my senior, Dr. Amit George, he said, if one court that you have to go to is Justice Muralidhar, and I was really disappointed, when he shifted to the Punjab court. But we're so lucky that we have him as a Chief Justice. So I hope that before I graduate, I get to intern under him at least once. But ma'am, before we end this segment, there's this beautiful thing that you said in an interview with a local Orissa TV, and where again they asked you what is your goal about National University, Orissa, and the dreaded question. So I won't ask you that question. But the thing that you said was, you beautifully stated that you came from a government college, and when you started your classes in Delhi University, you did not speak much because of a language barrier, I presume. And you want to help people who come from, say, a government school or a non-English speaking background. And in my experience, I think that is a wonderful, wonderful initiative that the college should take. But ma'am, is there any advice that you have for people coming from that background? Because if you look at India, 60%, according to the 2011 census, come from the rural area of our population. So what is the advice that you have for them, ma'am? And it's a very important question.
I was saying the same thing to the TV channel also. I joined school at the age of 6. And we used to correct Pehli mein admission here. Pehli, Dusri, we did not know first, second, or standard. We never had a nursery. We didn't have a PKG or whatever those systems are. So standard, I had no English at all whatsoever. I done my ABC in my 6th standard. Then 6th to 11th was about schooling, and that's where one subject was English. And my English teacher was very motivating. So she put me on that path, really motivated me. I've been very lucky to have really, one teacher at least who pushed me to do things, to aspire for something more. So she was, Mrs. Rastogi was my teacher there. And she introduced us with a small dictionary, pocket dictionary, which is still with me all my life. And I used to consult that more often in the beginning. But it was just one subject, which was English. So I was in the government school, and I should also tell you, people are paying so much money for education. I paid 9 paisa in my 1st to 5th standard for my Pehli to Panchvi. 9 paisa of fee was called a chanda. Then from 6th to 11th, I had 3 rupees 20 paisa as my fees, education fees in the school. Hindu college, in LLM, I got a fellowship for rupees 600 per month. And that was huge money. And certainly at that time, it was huge money. But in my LLM, when I was studying, not LLM, the fellowship was 600 for my PhD work, not LLM. LLM, I had a pocket money of 30 rupees. And I survived in that. The 30 rupees was only pocket money. All other expenses of my bus, passport, it was 12 rupees. So that was certainly a different era when we were growing up. But certainly in my college, there was everybody, excepting one more school fellow of mine. She was also Hindi from my same school. Everybody else was from a public school. Everybody was was speaking English. And there was no culture of speaking Hindi either in the class or outside the class. So I'm stuck with these people who only speak to each other in English. But then because I was listening, I did notice that they were making mistakes. And I felt, and then I noticed that, well, I speak Hindi, I also make mistake. So I do not stumble on that because I made a mistake in Hindi. I think that gave me the courage. But the fact that 3 years of BA, then 3 years of LLB, 6 years, all my education was happening in the classroom in English. My teachers did not speak Hindi. Nobody asked. No, today students who don't speak English, they demand and they request that, no, please speak in Hindi, explain it to us. But we did not. And I think that was very helpful. That if you're listening English constantly all the time, you pick up words, you pick up vocabulary, you pick up grammar. You're not learning grammar, but you're learning sentence formulation. So I think that has been very helpful. And I set my target in LLB that if I get a first class, that was that good. So LLB, the target was I should pass my exam. Because I was doing the English medium. I was not worried about what class I will get. Before that, I was always a first class, but then I got a 3rd class in my BA because I was struggling with language, but I passed my papers. Then LLB, I set my target that I have to get a first class from me to do LLM. And I got exact 1800 out of 3000. So I think the fact that I was accepting, I had set this target for myself, and I don't know why I set a target. It was just a personal target. I'm not competing with anybody else. That this is what I need to get. And I think destiny kept on unfolding for me. So my advice to everybody who is not good at English is to certainly keep a diary, pocket diary. That was my first aid. And second one, not to give up on the language. Because if you really want to progress at some stage, English is absolutely essential. It may not be a state court, but you want to practice the High Court, you need English. You want to go to the Supreme Court, you need English. You want to go abroad, you need English. Not that English works every country in the world. I was in Russia and I realized that English didn't work there. So certain pockets in the world where English doesn't work, but most places it works. You want to work in UN, it works. You have to have another language. So my success has come only because I didn't give up. But I can tell you, my English is, you ask me a recipe, which I know, if I cook something, I think in Hindi and I got my Hindi words. So it's always a specialized language. English, legal English is different from English. And I think even the students who are well versed with English have to relearn their language. Legal English is a different ballgame. So everybody is learning. Certainly they got a little advantage, the people who come from the English speaking schools, but it's not the end of the world. If you just make up your mind that this is where you're going to start, it will certainly need a lot more work. It took a lot more work from me as well. I think the fact that we did it, I was quite clear that no, this is what I want. So I think it worked. It worked, and I think this is what I would think that everyone, even if you're not getting completely what is, I don't know what is the culture here, whether students here demand to speak in Odia or Hindi or not. In my university, now new generation started asking. So I do tell them also that, look at me. Today, nobody can say that I had only one subject as English till I was 16. I started English only when I came to the university, first Hindu college and then law faculty. But it's because I've been listening, hearing English all through, I picked up.
Ma'am, that was really inspiring. In fact, before we move on to the second topic, my mom says this, even she paid around 5 rupees for her education. So she's like, we are paying around 1 lakh for your education. You better be Hari Salve. Okay. So I mean, it's a pressure, but it's really inspiring, ma'am. And I think our students will really connect with you, and especially the level that you can reach with perseverance, ma'am. Ma'am, I personally did not want to include the legal section here because I wanted the students to know you as a person, because everybody knows you as the jurist, highly qualified publicist that you are. But I will still ask questions because not every day you can have Ved ma'am talk about juvenile justice. So I'll keep it at a very macro level. Um, in your book, ma'am, recently about the critique of the Juvenile Justice Act 2015, you have, in fact, in an interview with the leaflet, you stated that it was a result of mobocracy rather than democracy. So would you like to elucidate on that particular note, ma'am?
My journey with the juvenile justice started in 1978. That was my first paper in Netherlands called Juvenile Delinquency, and Prakhar was our teacher. She just inspired me so much that I did my then dissertation on that at my PhD. And I got to know that we started on this whole protective approach toward children in 1850. 1850 was the first time we recognized children as a separate group. Then 1920 onwards, we started having legislation. So from 1920 to 2015, we had one direction going towards more and more protection to children. Initially, we said they should be not sent to jails, but to reformatory schools. So first we said, okay, younger children, vagrant children, and neglected children, they should be in petty offenders. They should be put into apprenticeship instead of jail. Then we said, not jail, but if at all the principal, they should be in the reformatory schools. Then we said, even at the judiciary, we should be separated. Then we said, excepting for serious offenses, they should not be sent to jail. Then 1960, we set the norm saying no jail for child, no police station for any child under any circumstance. That was for Union 26. In 1986, we had a huge break. We said for the whole country, no child in jail or police station. The age was 16 for boys, 18 for girls. We then extended in 2000 again, saying till the age of 18, no child will go to jail or police station. Then suddenly in 2015, we said 16 to 18, some children can be sent. And it all was the aftermath of Nirbhaya. So for me, Nirbhaya is a very problematic category. And I work in both areas of women's rights as well as children's rights. And Nirbhaya was the culmination of that conflict, which we see between women's safety. And in this case, this was a boy of 17 years plus some months. I think 4 months shorter than 18. And the demand was that he should be hanged also, apart from the other. The whole demand was for hanging. For in Nirbhaya's case, for me, Nirbhaya was a very barbaric case. Our heart goes for that family, and certainly the child the young girl who suffered so much. But I also see it as a scenario where the juvenile justice has failed the child. This particular boy who was involved in this incident was on the roads for 6 years. Nobody knew whether he was alive or dead. So first, we as a state did not provide care. And when he strayed in the company of adults, we put the whole blame on him. So I think the two issues have to be segregated. By punishing or by killing any rapist for that matter, women's groups did not want. It is not that Nirbhaya campaign for death penalty was a women's rights campaign. Women groups categorically have been saying constantly that we do not want death penalty for any rape scenario. Now in the law, we are getting more and more death penalties for lots and lots more scenarios where rape is happening. But women groups are not agreeing to that. They do not believe in violence, and violence does not stop violence. By punishing somebody, putting somebody in stress.
Or Kunil?
Is it my internet or we lost?
It's ma'am's, it's the
Okay.
issues at ma'am's end. So,
Kunil, it's raining heavily over here. I guess that might be
Okay,
the reason.
okay. I think we'll wait for ma'am to reconnect. I think that might be the reason.
yeah. Meanwhile, I think we are also coming towards the end of the session. So please, as soon as ma'am joins, we will, conclude, and all of us can have a picture.
Yeah, definitely. That's our main
And
thing.
Kunil, are you recording this time? I reminded you.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we are recording. Prajwal, are we recording?
The recording is going on.
Perfect. To our audience, I think there's been a power cut at ma'am's residence, so she'll be joining in 5 minutes.
Students, please, you're requested not to leave. Ma'am will just be joining again.
Ma'am, am I audible?
You there? Yes, you
Yes,
are.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now I've got my dog on top of on my lap. He's feeling
It's
very
okay, ma'am.
afraid. He's being afraid of the loud noise. He's just feeling scared. We'll be here for some time. I've got two
Ma'am,
of them. This is one.
we're going to love NLUO. We have a lot of dogs on campus. For the good or for better, that's debatable, but you're going to love NLUO.
Okay.
Ma'am, so
where were we?
is I think there's a little lag on the internet issue, ma'am. Am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, you were regarding the juvenile justice, the Nirbhaya rape case, ma'am. You were there last time we heard you.
Let me just change the because here now I think the Wi-Fi is working. So let me just check if I can get that Wi-Fi back on. Any more lag or they're okay?
I think it's better, slightly better, ma'am. It's better. I think we can hear you.
It's Wi-Fi. Yeah. So I think in that whole thing, it was much more one case. There had been many more barbaric cases. There have been many more instances, and the amendment in the law is not going to help. I was saying that when you send us, a young chap, 17-year, 18-year-old, what is the duration we're talking about? We're saying 7 years, 10 years. So when they come out of prison, they're going inside the residences, whatever that residence can be called. It's called place of safety presently. He goes there for till the age of 21. Then he goes to the adult prison, if not reformed. Comes out. So first of all, whether there are places of safety which are actually providing information. Then, if he goes to the prison, he remains there for another 6-7 years. Comes out at the age of 27. Do you think we'll have really a robust, healthy citizen of India, which will not be a threat? How many of us would want to have friends with them? How many of us would want to give, give them jobs? What are they supposed to be doing at the end of the day? When young people have a whole life before them, and you put them in custody for long terms, it doesn't help anybody, neither the child nor anybody else. In Delhi, we had this boy in the juvenile home, special home for a long time. And then another boy who was picked up from Jammu and Kashmir, that he has been now radicalized. So this Nirbhaya boy was said to have been radicalized. Now, who put him in the company of the radical element? This state. Then put the blame on him that he's been radicalized. So this is what we're going to say, oh, he was in the company of other rapists, he was in the company of murderers. So you create an environment where you are exposing them to nothing excepting serious offending by others. So I don't think the idea that you can pick up some children and teach them as adults without owning up of a responsibility to look after every child before they, so that they don't get into offending. We do not pay attention to that. We only pay attention to the end result, what has happened when we did not take care. And that's why the Juvenile Justice Act deals with both categories. But Juvenile Justice Act is seen as most discussions on JJA end up only talking about offending. But offending children are about 50,000 in the whole country, out of a population of more than 60 crores or something, about 40% population which is children below the age of 18. So to that percentage, that number, we have about 30 to 80,000, 30 to 40,000 children committing any offense, not serious offenses. So that's not a huge number. But when you look at children in protection, we have about 27 of the 40%. So crores of children are not looked after. And even then they don't commit offenses. That's not what we emphasize on. We emphasize on that one child who has committed a serious offense, and that becomes the reason for changing law. Whenever we make change of law based on only one case, it's never a good law. And that I still hold. We've seen how the whole law has been implemented since 2015-16. Just routine transfer. If you committed murder, go to penal court. Otherwise, where is the assessment court? So there are lots of things now. Presently, we are again in the round of amendments in the law. And the most controversial has been adoption. With the SDM will expedite. SDM is not available with London recently. It's not available even for registering an application for marriage. My nephew was getting court marriage. He went there and he was told for a month the SDM will not be coming here because they've got an airport duty. So he said, no, those hota nahi aajkal. So even people can't get married. What is going to happen with adoption? So lots of things are happening which are not really child friendly. But that's how things are.
In fact, ma'am, I was actually really embarrassed that that it was my notion because of media trial. And when the Nirbhaya rape case happened, I was very young, so I wasn't in the legal studies. But in the interview, you said that there was a misconception that juvenile was the most heinous. That's how the media covered it. And in fact, you stated the magistrate also disputed that fact. Until yesterday, I did not know that. So, I mean, I was just thinking that how, what the media, the mainstream media says, how it has repercussions on the common man. And I still study the law. So it's a point that you drove home very beautifully, ma'am. Ma'am, before I go to the last, yes, ma'am.
Ramdev Chauhan's case, which Justice Modi had pursued as a lawyer. The death penalty case, it took 18 years, 18 long years in prison, having a death penalty hanging from his head before he was declared to be a child and to be released forthwith. 18 years. His case went up to the Supreme Court 4 times. It was just unlucky and lucky both ways. That first he got into that whole thing where he was given death penalty, confirmed up to the Supreme Court. Then death penalty confirmed in the petition. mercy granted by the governor, his epilepsy again restored, and then he was set free finally. So these are the tumultuous journeys. Lots of these cases have when a heinous offense is committed, because when a heinous offense is committed, we forget that the offender is still a child. 18th century, we had a huge shift in criminological thinking. We used to focus on offense and not offender. Then the positive school came in and we started looking at who the offender is. We got all these exceptions, children, persons with insanity. There are a lot of categories where we created exceptions. All the exceptions we started creating because there was a human being involved. But when it came to Nirbhaya, we forgot. We went back to revenge. Retribution.
I hope the amendments start coming in. I know there was a 2021 bill just passed in Lok Sabha, which did not help, like you mentioned. But I thank you so much, ma'am, that with your writing, even law students are getting to know, because I wasn't aware of it and I'm really ashamed about that fact. But ma'am, like I promised, I won't discuss about law. We want to know you as a person. And the last field, women in legal field, and this is something which I have been, if I don't grill you on this, my sister will not let me sleep. So I was reading this book, Lean In, by Sheryl Sandberg, who was the CEO of Facebook. And she said in her class, there were a lot of people, there were a lot of women who were top rankers. But after who were top rankers in their class, in college itself. Now, in profession, when she sees now, most of these women, they are not working anymore, or they're not top rankers. And I went back to my rank list in my university, and I saw among the top 20, majority of them were women. And so I started wondering, will this happen in my generation too? Now, as a woman who's reached that top position, I know it's a very general question, and that's why I want to pertain it just to you. What do you think are the challenges, the major challenges that you faced, ma'am? And obviously, there's a greater glass ceiling that a woman has to break. I think that is a fact. I think that's not even up for challenge now in the 21st century. But what are some challenges that you faced that you can tell our audiences?
Personally, I did not face many challenges because I think a lot of professional women make that choice, profession or family. And I took the choice of profession and not family. So not being married, not having children to look after, not producing children, giving birth to children, has saved me all those hassles, all those double burden of work which most women go through. All women go through, actually. Exceptionally, some people don't. So the fact that women have to have, it is assumed that women will continue to look after families, whether they are Supreme Court judge, High Court judge, whether they're senior lawyers, whether they are professors, and they have to manage both the things. It is still not, this whole divide we have between private world and the public world. In public world, we say, public sphere, we say, oh, you are equal, you can come and do whatever you want to. There's no restriction that you cannot take up a job, you cannot do that. At the same time, we still expect that they will look after the family. And certain biological requirement is that they will produce children. So minimum 9 months of pregnancy and a couple of years of breastfeeding and all that certainly push them back. We have made no provision in our assessment. We have set the same cutoffs for promotions, for retirement. So the fact that they do spend a few years looking after the absolute essential beginning needs. So from breastfeeding, they should be free apart from other things. But the men do not think, not only men, the state does not think that it is the men's job also to bring up children. Let's say that with the fact that we have child care leave, which women can take from their profession, paid leave, up to 2 years, till the time that children become 18 years of age. So maternity leave is different. That is certainly required for the woman to physically recover. Men discharge the responsibility of looking after the children by taking 15 days of paternity leave. So in 15 days, they have discharged all their obligation from the state's perspective. They don't need to, even a sensitive husband or father does want to take that leave, he doesn't have the provision for it. So even the state says Boys, you don't have to have any worries. You produce children, let the women take care. Creches where women are working. Men don't have children, no? It's only women who have children. But when it comes to who is the guardian, it is the father. So very, very, what do you call it, convoluted assumptions about women. And therefore, with all these responsibilities, how much strength do you have? We are not superwomen, we are just human beings. But we are assumed to be superwomen, capable of doing, वो जो दिखा ना 8 हाथों वाली देवियां. So हमारे 8 हाथ है ही नहीं, हमें 2 से ही करना होता है. But everybody assumes that we will manage all of our 8 categories of. The husbands are also children only. I had a judicial officer. We were doing a training. And we wanted everybody who got a fresh promotions to the district level judges. We wanted a weekend outing for them and some trainings, etc. So women said, no, we cannot come. Why? We have got family responsibility. So one woman said, no, only my husband and my son is there, small child. Because I thought your family of 2 adults and 1 child. I did not know it was a family of 1 adult and 2 children. So she got it and said, no, I'll come. The other woman said, no, my family is not ready to look after my child when I go, so I will not go. So then the High Court issued an order saying compulsory. Then the family came to the rescue that if it's compulsory, then we'll look after. The third one still said, no, she still felt that, no, I cannot leave I've got a very small child, I cannot leave him behind. So then she took the child and the family along with her. This is not the adjustments which any man have to do. All these questions do not even occur to them if there is an outing organized by the on the promotions, it's organized by the High Court. None of the male judges have any of those issues. So this is what keeps the women away. There is no support system available to them. तुम करते क्या हो घर में, होता क्या घर में तो नौकर है. जिन नौकर छुट्टी पे जाते हैं, pandemic showed us that ना, when the knockers went away, who looked after the family? So the husband ka chai bhi the wife has to make. She has to look after her children's school also. She has to look after her own office as well. So somewhere we have not really come to grips with the responsibility to impose on women. So professional women ultimately end up at least losing some years in the process. They do come back. Quite many of them do come back. But that's a huge burden. That's a huge burden.
Ma'am, in fact, this is a debate that I see in my family now. So my sister will be graduating this year and she wants to go for criminal litigation in Delhi. And my mother is a working woman, very successful. And even she tells me that, Delhi litigation, is it safe? And I always said, of course, she has to fight it out. Till I got this quote from one of the interview, and it was a quote by you, ma'am, where it stated at each stage of life, women faced different hurdles. Almost all young women have been teased or sexually harassed or have to choose between long days of work or family, like you just said. And I want to chime in this debate. And I have to come to that conclusion that when my sister goes to Delhi, she will face this. It's the reality and she has to prepare for it. So women like my sister who want to go for litigation, especially in the legal profession, how do you tell them to have a thick skin? Because men won't change overnight. That's a fact. It takes time. So what are your suggestions as a woman who's reached that level? So what is your suggestion there?
For me, remaining silent is not a solution to any problem. But most women, especially they're coming from small towns, opt for silence. Till the time it really kind of crosses their head, they will not report to anybody. And somewhere this whole victim blaming that I am the one responsible is so ingrained in us. We have to get out of that feeling. What I wear, what I don't wear, what I speak, what I don't speak is my freedom. If the other person has a problem, that's his problem, not my problem. So somewhere telling the boys that what the women are doing, it is their exercise of their expression. They're not trying to do it for you. But we all have been brought up that women dress up for men, men dress up for women. Sometimes we do, no doubt about that, but not all the time. We're going to work, we're going to the office. We're not going there to attract men. When you go to a party, you will attract men and women, whatever you want to. There are times when you will do that, but not when you're working. So I think somewhere the women have to understand that men have been brought up with the They're saying men will be men, boys will be boys. It is their problem. Let's not accept that as our problem. We're not convert it into our problem. And whether it is, and also another thing, I don't believe that you can actually physically hit back at men. I tried it once and failed miserably and felt very bad about it because I've never been trained to hit anybody. I had not even fought physically with my brothers and sisters. So in the bus, when somebody was really harassing me, so I thought, okay, let me give him a slap. And I tried and I just did not, I knew that it was not a hard slap because I'd never slapped anybody. And I don't think, we can really hit your taller men and all that. So all that is out of question, but certain mechanisms. In the university, there is anybody who is getting harassed, bring it to our knowledge. Remaining silent is not going to get it away. It's not. The unfortunate part is that even when you do bring it, we have had cases where law interns have reported sexual abuse by high Supreme Court judges. And things haven't happened very favorably. And we know latest one, MJ Akbar, is now going to the High Court to challenge P.R. Ramani's acquittal from defamation. But these are the struggles one has to go through if you want to bring about change. We all have to struggle together. I think people like you who are seeing it at the family level will be more appreciative of women for number one. So somewhere I think somewhere boys forget that they also have women in their families. And if they start looking at women only in relationships terms, this is my wife, this is my mother, this is my sister, this is my daughter, and every other woman is available. Then for all other men also, your women and your sister is also available category. So this has to be understood very categorically that no women are available women. You have to build up relationships to have access to each other. It cannot be that, if she is not my sister, she is not my so-and-so, then we can say whatever. Then you are exposing your own women also in that category. But your case given is two categories of women. My women, whom I put all those cloaks and dupatta and full sleeves and all those kinds of things, and these other women. But then, where every woman is then become the other woman for somebody else. So unless that thing stand, but for women, I certainly think one advice we give to all graduating women, that these senior lawyers, whom you will think is like my uncle, like my father, like my grandfather, they don't think so. As we age, I'm kind of 64 years old. In my mind, I still think I'm 28 or maybe at the most 35 years old. Men also feel the same way. But they don't think they're 68 years old or they're 70 years old. So don't think of them as your father and your uncle and your grandfather. They are just men out there. So beware. Treat them as colleagues. And unless you learn this, that all working environments are not family environment. You have to be on your toes. You have to understand that people are there who can be abusive. I do not think that you have to start with a negative attitude. I don't start with a negative attitude, but I have to be aware that the possibility of abuse is very much there. So be cautious. Do not put yourself in a situation where you can be abused. And if, God forbid, anything like that happens, reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, reach out to your colleagues, reach out, tell somebody. That's the only way. You're not the one playing. That has to be very clearly understood.
In fact, the fact that you just stated that, reach out and all these advice I see my mother giving my sister and not giving me, I've come to realize the inequality of it and how much other fights women have to, go through. And it's the first time when she's going out in the profession, I'm realizing that. Ma'am, and that brings me to one last student question.
Yes, we also recognize that today boys are equally vulnerable. It's not, certainly women are more vulnerable, but we do know boys being also harassed, and especially if you are of a different orientation, either for identity issue or for sexual orientation. Any number of instances we have heard our students speak about that how much abuse is happening. And it's even harder for men to talk about it. It's kind of, for women, it is the shame category because they don't talk about it. For men, it is the masculinity which is under challenge. So they don't talk about it. I think both men, women, and others, if you have a problem, speak out. If you don't speak out, nothing is going to change.
Wait, ma'am, and essentially, if you have read the news and you have your ears on the ground about national law universities, there have been a lot of sexual allegation, abuse claims in different national law universities. And one of our juniors had stated that with you coming into power, ma'am, we hope that we have a sexual harassment policy in place, and especially somebody who understands, what women go through. So I mean, personally, I and the college, they have high hopes on you, ma'am. But my last question, and I always end this with all my guests, so please indulge me. Uh, if there is one book or movie that a character from one book or movie you see your life as, who would that be? You can take your time, but no reasons. You just have to tell that person.
No, I'm unique. I don't have anybody in the. No, I don't think I have a role model in my mind. And I think for me, my journey as a woman in my life, I'm the fourth child in my family, youngest woman. And my father, from my horoscope, knew that I wasn't going to get married. I did not know this. So he really encouraged me to go out. And for me, I developed my independence little step at a time. So I don't think I was, and also because in your written communication, you said your journey from a learned professor to the vice chancellor. And I was dying to say this, that it was a 24 hours. I left Delhi as a professor and I came here 24 hours train journey and became a vice chancellor. But the journey as a woman has been, for me, I think it started in 1980. Till then, I think my master's was the opening of my mind, understanding the discrimination, understanding so many fears we have. So 1980 was the time when I finished my LLM, and I went on a first trip with younger students. And then 81, I went solo, 2 women alone, came to South on a journey of 15 days traveling. Then I did take another journey alone. I was again in South. South I felt was safer than in the North. Then I went to Oli. I took a kind of a bus alone. I knew that I will go and join a group there, try to learn skiing. It was a paid program, very reasonably paid. Broke my leg and came back injured. Took me a year and a half. But I think the small steps ultimately gave me the confidence. So I wasn't looking for, I've never competed with somebody else. I've just taken my small steps to reach the next level. I never had this target that I will want to become a vice chancellor one day. It wasn't on my plate. Becoming a lecturer was not on my plate. But whenever an opportunity has come, I've taken that opportunity and done my best in discharging whatever my responsibilities were. So I don't know maybe I'll come back someday with something if I know if some other character resonates with me, but just now I do not know.
That's one of the most unique answers we have received in this session. So I'll take that. Thank you so much, ma'am. I have learned a lot personally. It was a really enjoyable conversation. I hope you enjoyed it too.
I'm just wondering whether anybody has written anything in chat.
In chat, I think there's one question by Dipannita ma'am. She's one of our faculty advisor. It says, is your recent book Welfare to Right? Is there any book
That's an older one. That's an older one. That's on the 2000. From Welfare to Rights is my PhD thesis, which had been converted into a book. So the fresh edition came in 2010, second edition. But this other book is 2000, I forget, 16 or 17, on the 2015 edition.
I actually cited your 2016 work and one journal from Indian Law University, Oxford Press, in my MPhil thesis. So I'm completing it in few weeks. So means it was great reading you actually.
Yeah, no, the Welfare to Rights book came in 2004 initially. Then it was second edition was 2010. Then the legislation changed and a new one came, so I wrote that one. I think this is 2006, 17. Whatever, 16, 16, I don't remember. Now I'm doing another new edition for that. I'm in the process of doing the next edition for that.
Since you wanted to get the questions of students, so we had released a Google form about questions. So the first question is, what is your vision for NLUO? I felt that question should not be answered, so that you have to first come, But
Yeah,
the two
I've already
questions
answered.
which you will face for at least for a substantial period of your time is, when is our library getting built? Unless you already know the history and context behind it.
Started, we have got it all approved. We just had a building committee meeting 2 days back, and that's kind of starting with. The whole clearance has come from the building committee. PWD is finishing that. That's the first
And second question they said was, I'll just tell you, is our college reopening in July?
No. It has to be day to day, because we were all thinking that things will become normal by July, but now the new wave has come, and actually we are going to request each one of you on the campus to actually go back. Do not want to take risk. Delhi is becoming very bad. Here also, Bhubaneswar, every day the figures are rising very quickly. And I can understand that this, especially fifth year, this is not.
They will not be happy. 5th years.
Yeah, I know, but I think life is more important than our desire to be here for a farewell and all. So I certainly think that we need to be really careful.
But I know Yogesh sir is really happy he's not facing these questions, because for the last 4 months, the student body has disturbed him. So I think he's happy to take the back seat finally. Yogesh,
we would have loved to have everybody back in July. We were hoping that the way things were going, by July things will be normal. But if you were to refer to the last century pandemic, it lasted for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It kept coming back. So with new technology, maybe 2 years, maybe less than that. So we are just keeping our kind of fingers crossed, hoping that it will be all good in July. But we cannot make a commitment. It will depend on how the scenario is.
Fair enough.
We're all dying to meet students. It's such a lively place. They're so dead at this corner. I go to the university, like it's all completely quiet and there's no students, nobody. So it's certainly not the normal, but it is the new normal.
Ma'am, I think that's fair enough. Thank you so much, ma'am. Again, I would love to talk to you again in person. I hope as soon as possible. I would like to invite Yogesh sir. He wanted to give the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, Yogesh sir, for having the time to do so. Yogesh sir, am I audible and visible? Are you there in the call?
I don't see Yogesh sir. He also had a
Who is there in the call?
I just text him 1 second.
Because when I had the electricity gone here, I called him and he said he was also not having electricity.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He can't see you.
There is a power cut at my place, so I'm using my mobile phone.
Okay.
A very good evening to all present in this session. Madam, it was indeed a very inspiring session. I listened each and every word from you. When in fact this process was started for searching of a vice chancellor, considering the challenges university was facing in terms of infrastructure, I think library, the student has already mentioned. And also it was with respect to various pending litigations in the university cases and arbitrations. And that's why when I spoke to Justice A.K. Patnaik, I requested him and I told him that, sir, these are the challenges. I think when you finalize a vice chancellor, you have to inform that all these things are to be taken into consideration. And he promised me that we'll definitely take into consideration all these things. When I met Justice Muralidhar also, I requested same thing to our chancellor also. In fact, when chancellor joined in consortium meetings, people, all other vice chancellor, they used to tell me that NLUO has the best chancellor as Justice Muralidhar. And when I used to speak to Faizan sir also about the progress of the search committee. Then he used to tell me in the message and other.
Sir, you're not audible. Yogesh sir, can you hear me?
I can certainly hear you.
Yeah. Is it? I guess it's really. Sir, it's faint, sir.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes.
I can hear you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when he used to discuss with Faizan sir, because he was also a member of the search committee, and he was my supervisor in PSD guide. So I used to request him, sir, please select somebody who can take all these challenges. And he used to tell me, promise every time that you will you have best vice chancellor in Odisha, and you will get best vice chancellor also. Don't worry. You take my word and take my thing, and you will get best time. But I think he has fulfilled, the search committee has fulfilled all the promises which they made, and we finally got best vice chancellor. So I have no doubt the way madam has started functioning in last 3-4 days. She joined on 20th, and in 4-5 days we cleared so many things. And the way madam has discussed issues relating to library, I think library madam has already informed that we have given order to PWD that library work should start immediately. So by July, I think when you will join the university, hopefully you will see that construction is going on in the library, and you will get so many other new things which we are thinking, and we are working for betterment of the university. So with the best chancellor, and we hope that Justice Muralidhar stays here for some more time, so that so that we can work out our plans. So what we have thought of. So with best vice chancellor and best chancellor, I think university has a great future, and we have madam very energetic and good students in the university. They are fantastically doing very good in moot courts, debating in other fields. So I think thank you very much for speaking to the Literary and Debating Society and to the universities. So many things what you spoke has already reached to the students, so they are tensed also that madam is not going to give extensions. Madam is not going. I got 3-4 calls in between this conversation. Sir, you have to ensure that I should get this. I should get them. We'll see, but whatever we will do, it is for the betterment and in the best interest of the students and the university. So once again, thank you very much, Literary and Debating Society, for organizing this inspiring session. I think we have we should also learn many things from madam, and all teachers I got their mind, and they are also very happy. Non-teaching staff, first time madam met, I think it was after a long time that vice chancellor called a meeting of all non-teaching staff, including the attendants, multitasking staff, and they were so happy. I can't tell you. So the entire university is in a very positive mood, and we are ready to work. We are ready to bring some positive changes in the university. So thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, Arkonil and Dipanvita, Kaushiki, the faculty advisors of Literary and Debating Society, for organizing this session.
I can tell you, Yogesh, that I was not briefed about any difficulty. I was just told it's an excellent university, and I've come with that understanding. It's an excellent university, but everybody said it has got a lot more potential, which actually inspires me. Which is the potential.
Maybe probably the members of the search committee, they were not in mood to give you all the problems of the university. But we can definitely resolve all the issues. Yes.
It will take 2-3 months to sort out, but I think they are very solvable.
Before, ma'am, last two things. Thank you, Yogesh sir. Yogesh sir has been really instrumental and a friend of Literary and Debating Society. Thank you so much, Yogesh sir, and I really apologize if I disturb you too much. But thank you so much for being a friend. That's all we want to say, the friend of the committee. And the last two things we'll do, ma'am, before you can go, ma'am, is first is Our faculty advisors are here, Kaushiki ma'am and Dipanita ma'am. Ma'am, would you all like to say a few words?
Thank you, Orkunil. Ma'am, we are blessed to have you as our Vice Chancellor. We are honored and privileged on behalf of this committee to have a dialogue with you. And thanks a lot for enriching us with your vast experience.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Vandita?
Dipanita ma'am, are you here?
Yes, she's very much here.
Ma'am, am I visible and audible?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Means even I heard each and every word you said. As I told you, I read your journal, I read your book, but I never thought that I will meet or work under you like this. And means this was honestly a very enriching session by both Orkunil and you. Means I love the questions and I love the answers. And thank you for being here. So that's all. Means my heartfelt gratitude to you.
I do want to clarify that I do not want anyone to work under me. I want all of you to work with me. It's only when
Yes,
we work
ma'am.
together, when we all work together that we can really forward, make a march forward.
Ma'am, you looked for the English teacher on the very first day we had a meeting. Now I know the reason why you look for the English teacher. So I will try to, not let you down. So
I'll
try
put
to work
some
more hard.
some very good books on legal writing, etc. in the library. You can check them out. I have a very good collection of legal writing. So there's literature in law, and there are legal writing material also. Might find that useful.
Ma'am, and the last thing which we do after every session, Yogesh sir knows, is the committee members, can you all switch on the video for a quick photo?
Yeah, I thought everybody should switch on.
Yeah, I mean, we have no qualms. Like if everybody can switch on their video. Isha is our convener ma'am. I think she's also here. She didn't want to say a few words. I'd asked her, but she said no, today I won't. So if everybody can switch on the video with a victory sign, we pull this off. So that'd be very good. Yogesh sir, Yogesh sir does it all the time, but I think he has a power cut at his home. So, okay, are the committee members here? Can we do a victory sign? Prajwal, tell us when we'll click a photo, okay?
Samrat, do that, and if everybody can just switch on their video, that would be great.
Okay, we are waiting, Prajwal. We're just literally like this, so do it fast.
One hand.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
Done?
I guess Kaushiki ma'am is also starting her video. She was also starting her video. Yeah, she said I do it.
Okay, one more time.
Okay,
Is
one
it
more time.
visible?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, Ved ma'am. Thank you so much to our faculty advisors for giving us the freedom to conduct all these beautiful, enriching sessions. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. And to our audiences too, stay safe, and I hope your families are safe too. See you.
So I would like to thank Orkunil. So it was just like coffee with Karan. So I was just like feeling like it would go till 9 or 12 p.m.
Yes,
12 a.m. in the
Orkunil,
morning.
you did an excellent job.
Excellent job. Excellent job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kind of flew very,
You
very
surprised me with Mr. Akara this time. It was a super surprise.
Thank you so much, ma'am. See you.
Bye.
Bye.